Pasa Calexico. Welcome back to the podcast. Like always, before we begin, I want to thank a couple of people. I want to start by thanking my friends here at Calexico Brewing Company for allowing me to record today's episode here. Really, really appreciate it. I also want to thank my anchor sponsors, my friends Camilo, Jake, Edward Velasquez, John Cabrera from AirCorp, Eddie Lopez from Roots Creative, Norma Galindo. Also want to thank Sergio's Tacos and Hotdogs, serving the Imperial, San Diego, Yuma counties with Mexicali style hot dogs and taquizas. Contact Sergio at 760-562-0057 or look for Sergio's Tacos and Hot Dogs on Facebook. Finally, I want to thank David Gastelum for thinking of buying or selling a home in the Imperial or San Diego counties. Make sure you contact David. He's not only a realtor, but an investor with over 20 years of experience, and he'll teach you along the way in one of the most important investments of your life. So yeah, today I have the pleasure of having somebody that's actually been part of my podcast. He helped create the logo for my podcast. You're probably seeing a lot of his art, especially if you've been here to Calexico Brewing. He's been part of their advertisement. So my guest today is Eddie Lopez from Roots Creative. Thank you for being here today.
Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
So before we get into Roots Creative and the event that you have coming up, Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, most definitely, man. I'm born and raised here in Calexico. Basically, I've always been into art. That's kind of my thing. You know, my grandpa was the one who kind of got me into all this type of art influence and whatnot. So most of my influence does come from my grandpa, pretty much. So it's been great, dude. Like I got into art since at a really young age, and that's kind of what I've been doing since then. And I immediately, as soon as I graduated college, as soon as I graduated high school, I went straight into college to kind of pursue that career. So been having all types of different jobs, whether it's private or public entities, you know, and just kind of developing from there and trying to form what today is Roots Creative.
So, when did Roots Creative start, or how did it start, or why is it called Roots Creative?
Well, it's a long story. Basically, it all starts with Rising Roots, I guess. Rising Roots with my high school band back in the day, and our name was Rising Roots, so it kind of started branching off from that. It's kind of funny because they just asked me that this morning I had breakfast with a friend, and it was the same question, so it's fresh on my mind. And yeah, man, it basically started off from that, Rising Roots, performing here and there. And then I think Shamu from the band Tribal Seats was the one who implemented that nickname to me. It originally started as Eddie Van Toots. So the reason I got that nickname, it was because every time we had a tour, we had to go somewhere, we had my mom's van, which was a Sequoia. It was a big van, you know, so we could all fit there, the instruments and everything. And it was always Eddie. Well, Shamus always comes up with crazy names, you know, it's Shamu, people who know him out there. But he literally came up with Eddie Van Toots because I always say, like, hey, man, let's just take the van. Like, we have a tour over here. We have a show over here. Let's just take the van, Eddie Van Toots. So it started off like that. And then people within high school, I guess, didn't really grasp onto it. So it became Eddie Man Roots because they couldn't really define what he said. Yeah. So it just became Eddie Man Roots. And now that's kind of my nickname as well. So I'm Eddie Man Roots as well. And it's just started branching off from there, dude. And once I think I graduated college from the Art Institute of San Diego. And as soon as I left that, I started up with the startup company. And then I did like social media marketing for them. And I was doing a bunch of little setups like Facebook stuff and then the flyer. So it was kind of like branching from a bunch of different things and then putting them together to eventually create like a package. So all those things kind of like started clicking me, and I started like taking note of those things, and I'm like, maybe I can start something. And then, so we kind of all split, the band split. And then as soon as, again, when I graduated, it kind of went from just being at school, I was kind of like, what do I do now? So I knew that I knew all this great community of reggae, the reggae industry or whatnot, because I had played with those people. I had had made connections with a bunch of promoters and venues and all those things. So I'm like, maybe I should start a company. And that's when I did like Roots Creative. I just pretty much found a name that could fit the creative and the roots and kind of that market, you know. So I kind of found a niche market that I could target my services to, and I basically just went at it. And pretty much I took all those different little things that I learned from those other jobs, which was basically like the Facebook setup and the flyer. That's a package right there. Or you want to go bigger and get banners and things like that. So I started selling those type of services to musicians, to venues and things out there, and that's how Roots Creative evolved.
Because you've been part of like the advertising for some big bands and artists, right?
Yeah, and basically I own it to Manatome. Manatome is a big influence in my life, which is basically an individual from Hawaii, and he was the one who kind of exposed me to the Hawaiian and the Islanders and all those type of bands. He's actually a promoter in San Diego who goes under the name of Polynesian Underground. And what Polynesian Underground focuses is bringing talent from the islands, so from Guam, from New Zealand, all the different type of Polynesian cultures, and then bringing them to SoCal and exposing them to the crowds in San Diego. So all these great musicians were coming from different places and showing up in San Diego and having big festivals. So he made me part of those things, and that's how I actually started branching into other stuff, because I was actually working for a certain band, but then they really liked the poster, and then they're like, how can we get this at a bigger scale? And that's how I started getting everywhere.
Well, okay, yeah. So and I'm assuming that after you started this, you came back home. You came because you were living in San Diego for a while, and then you came back to the Valley and started. Because I know you've been part of Calexico Brewing for a while, right? Right. How did that relationship begin?
So it was basically, I was laid off the job that I used to have at San Diego, and it was a startup company. It was a Fortune 500 company, so they were doing pretty good. I was actually a design manager out there, and I had a good team, that I managed. So I had a little bit more experience under my belt, and I kind of just felt like I didn't want to pursue for another home or look for another home in San Diego. Think the cost of living, the living cost, everything was going just up and up. So I'm like, I'd just rather go to the Valley, and kind of figured it out back there. I've always had the dream of actually establishing a design studio or a print shop here in Calexico, because I think there's that demand that we kind of need to have something, at least in our little pueblito,
Yeah.
But that's the long-term goal. But basically that was kind of like my thinking. I'm like, I'm just going to go back to the Valley and kind of figure it out. So I was here for a while, and then I was unemployed. I was just doing basically taking Roots Creative as my main business at that point. And then just started marketing myself. And that's exactly how I reached out to Calexico Brewing. That's how I designed your logo. And I was just literally putting things together, because I'm a fast graphic designer, not to put myself on a pedestal, but like I work really fast and I can get done really quick with projects. So I figured I saw that you could kind of use the facelift. That's how I reached out to you. And that's why I came up with that little logo, and it just clicked. It's a Q. A Q usually has a little thingy on the bottom right, so maybe that could be the mic, and boom, salió. And then the same thing with these guys. I'm like, oh, you guys need some more branding, some more advertising. And that's basically what a lot of people do. Other graphic designers around the Valley, I've seen that's kind of what they reach out to businesses for. Like, you're kind of lacking with branding or advertising or website presence or whatever, and we just kind of lift you up from there.
Yeah, so, I remember I put it up a post like, oh, if anybody
oh right, yeah,
wants to do a little yeah. I was like, oh shit, that was fast, because it was it took like a day, and you hit me up. And because I mean, me and you kind of have a history, because I know your brother. Me and your brother go way back.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember seeing you as a little kid, because me and your brother used to carpool to IVC. Okay. So there's sometimes I would go pick him up, and you might be out there or whatever. And then when I saw you sent me the logo, and then I was like, oh,
connected the dots.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's crazy that now, I think I talk more to you than I do to your brother.
Yeah, things flip of the book,
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's funny because your brother's and I think your mom has to do a lot with, you know, you guys' creativity, because
Big time.
she lets you pretty much do as you know, not in a, you know, like she lets you be creative and do whatever. I mean, if you guys pass by this guy's house in Christmas, you know, you probably you understand what I'm talking about. You know, can you tell us a little bit about what you guys do in Christmas?
Yeah, man, definitely. Yeah, I guess we're not. I don't guess it's definitely a big thing also within my life, and I always say that my family is my foundation for everything. You know, we're kind of like, I'd like to say that we're a pretty unique family, you know, because my sister has her abilities, my grandma has her abilities, and we're five. We're consist of my brother, my sister, my mom, my grandma, and I. So we're just five individuals who, like, we know when to give each other space. We know when to respect everyone, you know, and kind of all those things. But again, everyone's really individually great at what they do, that when we get together, we can do something great. And basically that's how that project became about. My brother I used to live with my brother back in San Diego. We used to be roommates, obviously. And I think he sent me one time a map on Google Maps. You can like pin down a bunch of different locations, so you can save that map, and now you'll have easy access to those type of things. So he created a map in San Diego. I'm not sure if he found the map, but I'm pretty sure he created that.
Yeah.
Ya lo conoces. He just went on there and he pinpointed all the locations of the houses in San Diego who have light shows. So that's really big in San Diego. You kind of just drive by a neighborhood, and then you see all these different crazy lights. I think we even had that at some point here in Calexico. That it was around Las Pichoneras, where it was like a cul-de-sac, and it was just like Disneyland everywhere. You just passed through there, but all the neighbors got together and came to an agreement of having like a light show.
Yeah.
So that's where everything kind of evolved. And again, he sent me that map, and one day we just went through that route, and we stopped by every single spot, and we really liked it. So one day it was just sitting at home, I guess, and he's like, maybe I can do that here. And he did it, man. He ordered most of his stuff through different suppliers, and he went on YouTube, learned how to do the whole programming and everything. And then I kind of jumped in there, and then my sister joined us. And again, that's when I talk about everyone having a different ability. My brother's all about the tech, you know, so he's all about programming everything, setting everything up, wiring, taping down things, you know, the construction part too, the hard labor. And then I'm all about the design. So I put stuff together for the marketing purposes of marketing that show to the people. And I think it was more popular this year.
Yeah, during the pandemic.
We're during the pandemic, and it was something safe that you could do, and we're probably going to keep it up until we can, right?
Yeah.
But and then my sister's handled all the social media marketing aspect of that. So she's the one on Instagram, she's the one on Facebook, checking everything and kind of pushing out those messages, those little videos that I make. So it's a little kind of domino effect, and we all work together to make that thing work. And then, well, it's my mom's house, so she's the one really doing it's her house, you know. So at the end of the day, she's the one with the biggest load, I guess.
Yeah. And then I mean, I don't think that not everybody's mom's gonna be like, yeah, you know, fill up my freaking yard and my walls and my fence with Christmas lights and have all these people drive up to our house.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, she does get to that point. I mean, all moms do, you know, they do get frustrated. They're moms. We understand that. But no, she's been really nice. She's worked with students for the past 30 or 35 years of her life. So she knows that. Yeah,
I think a lot of your brother's classmates know her because she was a teacher at Willie since it opened, right?
Pretty much.
And this year you guys teamed up with Brown Bag, right?
We did. My mom's actually part of that coalition, she helps out every week, I believe, and she goes out with part of the Brown Bag coalition to give food out to like the homeless at the park. I think it's every week because she cooks for them as well. So every Tuesday or Monday, you know that the kitchen's going to be busy. So ban McDonald's or something because you're not going to eat at home, right? Because she does use most of the kitchen and like cooks big meals for them and whatnot. and then I think she delivers them on Wednesdays, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
But yeah, that's pretty much why we partnered up with them. We felt that might as well do it with another benefit. We already have people coming over, and if they can kind of give a little bit and kind of pay it forward in some sort of way, why not? So we put out a box, and we hope to do it this year as well. Maybe even have more boxes out there with more partners or resources out there. But yeah, man, and I think we're kind of concerned about changing everything, all this light show, because that's also time consuming, trying to put together the music and try to coordinate everything. So my brother was really concerned about pandemic and all these things, and the guidelines that we had to use masks and all these things. It's just changing that message about not using masks anymore. It's going to take us at least 5 or 6 hours, so it's time consuming. And then when we launched the guidance for the mask again, we were a little bit more happy now that it's going to stay as is,
I was about to say, like, I wouldn't change anything.
Right, exactly. So we're fine now. And yeah, we're pretty much going to go ahead and mount the same show as last year.
Yeah. And for those, people that haven't had a chance to visit, you guys coordinate the music with the lights, and people in their cars can tune into a radio station and they'll listen to the music that's playing outside your house.
Exactly.
It's kind of like the drive when we used to go to the drive and
exactly.
So that's the kind of like the best part of the show, that you can hear the music and it'll dance and all these crazy things. So and it's really fun. I think all the years that you've had it, I've drove by, and it's
awesome, man.
I think every year it keeps getting better and better. And and I think the funny part also is the music that you guys pick sometimes.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's really, we try to keep a really localized vibe. Like we know that people are not going to listen to country out here. They're probably going to listen to La Chona or something like that. So we kind of like to pick songs that kind of go with the flow of the people here, and that they adapt to it. It makes it more fun, but we also try to keep it PG or at a certain point, because we have kids showing up and whatnot. And then I think I invited some of my coworkers last time, so I didn't really want to be like, hey. But some of our tombstones are kind of funny, like it's a play on words, so it's like Lucy La Tanga or things like that. And so if you think about it, it's like, what's the real meaning behind that? So that's we also do another show. I'm sorry for those people who don't know about Miluno Lights, but we also have Miluno Haunts, which we just started last year. I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. But now we have the October show, which is for Halloween, and now we're gonna have the other show for Halloween, for Christmas. But yeah, the tombstones are funny, man. You got to take a swing by and read some of those.
I don't know if I saw the Halloween one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, pues a lo mejor por eso, pero yeah, swing by. It's October. We're going to set it up.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Yeah, we have like Benito Camela also dead in there, those type of names. So it makes it funny.
Yeah, for sure.
They're not that, since they make you think about it, like it's not really bold and pointing straight at you, so kids might not really grasp onto those things.
Yeah, it's kind of like an inside joke kind of thing.
Exactly.
So now that you've been here in the Valley for a while, after you came back from San Diego, Roots has kind of become like your side hustle, because you have a 9 to 5.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I work for the public health department. That's basically do all the multimedia stuff for them. I handle from website to graphics to all the communication stuff, right? So that's been pretty busy, especially with the pandemic stuff. We were working from 10 to 12-hour shifts on a daily basis. We were getting called in on weekends, and that was just communication. I mean, imagine for the rest of the people who are like really at the front line. So it was a hectic moment, but yeah, I actually, this is the same thing that I was talking to my friend in the morning about. Basically went from, I changed my slogan. I actually went by Roots Creative, and it just came about because, again, I had a niche market, so I was just working for the reggae community, and it came a point when it was just the number one roots design source for roots musicians. So people knew that I was the one-stop shop for reggae artists to just come to me and be like, I'll handle your website, your flyers, your tour posters, your press kit, your everything. So I kind of started becoming that. But then when I came here to the Valley, I'm like, this is not going to fit well, right, with the rest of the customers. Because I was actually starting to work with like schools thanks to my mom kind of got me in my foot. I got my foot in the door because of her. And it was mostly working with like the PE departments or the physical education departments, where it was mostly like, and also coaches and teams. So I started doing a bunch of stuff for the Calexico Bulldogs, their basketball team, their volleyball team. And I was like, maybe it's no longer roots musicians, you know, and now it's just like more generalized. So I changed it to Cultivating Ideas, Cultivating Ideas. So now it speaks more of a global type of thing about anyone. And it's basically, that's what I do. I just cultivate ideas on a daily basis. And yeah, that basically started branching over to a lot of stuff. And since I knew that I was now at a public stage with the public health department, and eventually it's a valley, you know, everyone knows each other. So I knew that Roots Creative, when people talk about Roots Creative, they know that's only Eddie. Mm-hmm. So there's also a whole crew that I partner up with. Sometimes it's not me that can handle all the videography stuff. Sometimes it's not me who can handle all the graphic stuff. So I depend on people sometimes to kind of throw some jobs at them and help me build what I'm trying to do, right?
Or some of the people that you like kind of collab with.
That's the crazy thing, man. It's not people from San Diego or people from anywhere close. It's mostly people from Brazil, people like from France, people from Mexico as well. Because I'm one of those. I guess my work ethic is always to be on top of things, you know. And I think it has to do also, again, the foundation for everything is my family. So my mom kind of settled that within the beginning. She's like, we were kind of brought up like little soldiers, you know. We have a menu every week where we know what we're going to eat, that type of vibe, you know. We had a schedule for everything. So I think that's what kind of lost my train of thought there.
Why you kind of like expand to the people you reach out to for help, you reach out to them because of...
So basically that's what it really comes down to, timing. And I like to be on top of things. And whenever I'm asleep, all these people are up, you know? So I like to work with them and throw jobs at them. And by the time I'm up, I can already either proof the thing or be like, hey man, I have these revisions for you. Can you just go ahead and work on them? Or I take care of it. And that's basically always been my work ethic. Obviously, when it comes down to like doing most like stuff here at the Valley, I struggle with that. Like I can't really find people, because I'm really hard to work with in the sense that I'm really anal with stuff, you know, like I like this way, and if it's not done that way, then get the hell out of here. Yeah. So it's
I think you get that from your mom, right? Because your mom's like,
yeah, but it's not our attitude, you know. We're great. I think we're chill people. We get along with everyone.
I know, and what I mean by that is that, you know, because your mom worked at the Answer for a bit. I think it was a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And, you know, you can see how her class was really organized. Right. She had her students, like, you know, she wanted her students to do things a certain way. So it's like, yeah. And if you didn't, like, you know, it reflected on your grade or whatnot, right. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I said, like, you know, I'm not saying like, oh, you guys are, you know, hard to work with. No, I'm just saying, like, you know, you like things a certain way, and it's because it works for you, you know.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah. I have my closet's color coded, so everything's by color, you know, that to that degree. But that's another story. Anyways.
David's not like that, is he?
No, David's more like
the
laid back, you know, like whatever happens. It's just it is what it is. Yeah. But again, that's where we all kind of intercept each other and kind of like lay on me, lay on you, and I'll help you and all that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, I pretty much work with people across other countries and things like that to kind of speed up the process.
Yeah, I mean, and that's crazy. Like I had never thought of, you know, working with somebody from Brazil because they're awake, you know, when you're asleep. Yeah, that's
and everything started. That idea branched off from Fiverr. I don't know if you know Fiverr.com.
No.
But
where you like
just submit stuff.
It used to be worth like $5, and you would pay somebody.
Now it's super crazy. Yeah, there's crazy numbers. See, but basically Fiverr is where you just go on there, you submit, or you want a project done, and everything used to be $5, right? Mm. But then people started having like tiers, and now you can get the other package, and now it's $10, or you added the native file, you get $15, things like that. So I noticed that most of the people were from like Indonesia and India, and just working the hell away on their little computers, you know, and getting that project done. So I'm like, maybe I should start doing that. And it wasn't until one of the guys who really likes my company and like the way I work, or at least my designs, he reached out. He's actually from New Zealand, and I still work with him. And that's pretty much how it started. Like, he has his own roots creative in New Zealand.
Okay.
And like, he has a good reggae community under his belt. And we just kind of joined forces, and like sometimes I heave into those projects at me, and it's crazy because I'm working with the same bands, but now they're back at their home native lands, and he's now doing the big posters for everything out there.
That's
so
cool.
It's work.
So when it comes to working on a project, do you think you work better when it's like, you know, you go see what they're all about? Like, say if it's a bit like them, like Calexico Brewing is a business, you come, you see. And then you do something on your own, or is it better when they give you input, like, oh, I want this, I want that, or what works better for you?
It works both ways, but like at least when I was reaching out to businesses out there, I was actually doing all the research. You know, it's kind of like when you start a new job and you're like, who's that company and where am I going to work and what's the address? I don't want to be late and all those things. Well, at least not on that way. I try to have everything ready before I even meet people, so I can have a good presence of the name with the face and all those things. I think that's basically what I did with Calexico Brewing. That was an example would be like I knew that they were kind of up and coming brewery, so like they were barely getting started. So maybe labels was next, you know, kind of branding their canning and all that stuff. And that's up until I met Jose Luis Yepes. And basically, that's when we talked about everything. And he's like, man, well, this is the next step in the brewery. And eventually it's been like that, you know, like this is the next step, man. Let's start getting ready for the next thing. And that's how the labels got created. That's how...
Because you created all of the labels? Or
I created the original labels, I guess. I guess I can call them the original labels for the brewery. But then he partnered up with, I believe it's Angeles Parsa. Who's the other graphic designer here, well-known graphic designer here in the Valley. And he did the most current labels now.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you created like the Bulldog?
I created the Bulldog. I created the Centinela. There's now a different Centinela label. And then I did the 420, 420. 420 was really like a hit amongst a bunch of people here, you know, maybe because of the little cartoon and whatever. And I think he even ran into some issues because of the artwork, but it is what it is, you know, people are going to complain or whatnot. And then the general label that they have for just whatever brew is it that they're brewing.
And then, because I know the Bulldog is really famous too. Like
yeah. That
like
one also got put on shirts and, the Centinela got put on shirts, but I think the other one, well, basically we're Bulldogs, you know, it's Calexico Bulldog World. So yeah, that's pretty much what the idea came about.
Yeah.
They're like, he managed to win a badass Bulldog. Okay. And I remember, I think we went through like 5 or 6 different drafts. Like I have some Cholo ones right there with some chains and then different ones, you know, but that was the most cleanest and impactful, I guess, and bold and straight on your face. So we kept that one.
So how do you go about like, you know, what's your creating process? Like, what do you put in some music or what is it you do when you...
I think my creative process is just about going at it, you know, like if sometimes like right now I'm working with another department within the county. They're giving me and also a big project, which is kind of like it's a big document that they have to submit for for county purposes and accreditation and all that type of stuff. So they just kind of gave me colors and things like that, and I just go at it, man. Like there's no really like basically. I always have music. That's the thing. I can't work without music. Sometimes at the office, I'm like the lively guy there, you know, because everything's so dull and calm and people are just within their own little world, which is fine. But I try to keep it lively with some music or some jokes here and there, you know. But yeah, man, I just pretty much go at it. There's no really, I don't think I have a creative process or a process that I follow. It's basically, like I said, I just go and dive into whether they have branding guidelines already established as far as like these are the fonts that we used. these are the colors that we stick to. These are the type of graphics that we want. These are the type of people, demographics, all those things. Some companies have those things established, and it's like a standard that you have to kind of follow. But then you have all these people, the rest of the clients who just don't have anything, right? And you just kind of gotta pull something out of somewhere.
Yeah, and especially like right now, when we started getting vaccines, you were promoting people that were eligible, which was 18 and over, right? And now you're kind of promoting 12, that younger generation. Right. So yeah, things change even when you already started something,
Right. Yeah. And that's fairly new to the department. Apparently I've heard it, from different, peers from my department that, the whole developing of graphics and campaigns for public health hasn't never been present. So I think it's something that we've been needing for we just lacking it, but it's been difficult because it's something fairly new to the department. They really like it now, so that's really like big within other departments that also want to follow the same path, because apparently there's never been a graphic designer at the Imperial County, and I was up.
Well, you know what? Like even for the district, for me, it's super weird that they don't have a graphics designer. They don't have a social media person or like a media person in general.
Right.
I know that, and I know you know him because I talked to him yesterday. Teto Martinez.
Oh yes.
He's the media director or media something person for El Centro. Right. I don't know if it's the elementary school district or the high school district.
Uh-huh.
And that position was brand new, and I think they thought of making that position during the pandemic because they needed somebody to be creating stuff to catch people's eyes on social media and whatnot.
Yeah.
And now I think with the pandemic, it became more apparent that people businesses need somebody that knows social media, knows graphic design, knows public. It's really important, and people, especially here in the Valley, I guess we don't see the value in that.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. People don't see the value in art or just the branding aspect and the fact that you got to market, not just put out a flyer out there in the hopes that it lands in someone's hand, but get that flyer going in different forms of whether it's a social media post, whether it's a banner, whether it's something different. But yeah, it's been quite a journey at the public health for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I bet, because like we said, like we were talking about, like even the vaccine demographic changed from a couple months to now.
Right.
And have you gotten any because vaccines, how they are about the whole political.
Right.
Have you gotten any shit about it, or you personally?
Yeah, man. Big time. I mean, I think that's one of the things at public health that we don't try to get to. We just don't try to get it to us. Like we get a lot of negative feedback from posts that we just upload or things like that. But if you really dive into all that anger or all those feelings that you're wanting to say back or things like that, it's just not going to end up well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just empowers us to kind of just keep on developing more stuff, because at the end of the day, people are going to say whatever they want to say, but we're just there to inform people. And if they want to pick it up and be like, okay, this is true, then so be it. And sometimes it results to differently, where they're like, yeah, I don't believe this. I'm just going to talk a bunch of crap and post a different bunch of comments. Like, you just let those people be, because we're just like, the public health is just there to inform people and educate people on this issues and all these type of things.
Yeah. And I mean, I imagine that you never thought that, your work or like stuff you're doing would, take you to like a place like this, this political turmoil that, we're going
Exactly. through. I've always worked with private companies, man. It's always been private until I landed here at public health. It's like, I mean, it's an honor. Like, to be honest, I never thought I was going to be doing the things I went to school for, which is basically graphic design, video, website, all that type of stuff, photography. And now I'm doing it for my valley. It's a great feeling. I think people really pride themselves in being from the valley, at least everyone that I know from the Valley, like they're like, oh, especially Calexico. That's what I tell people. Even I know that within other cities, Calexico is the one that gets talked down the most, you know, but we're a different breed. That's exactly what I tell them. We're a different breed, and it's something that you can't comprehend because we're a different breed. That's it.
Yeah, I think our our population, makes us, really different, really unique.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like lately I've been kind of like trying to push this idea that, we're all from the Valley. Mm-hmm. Just because, and I've said, there's something that I keep repeating is like, you go to Google Maps and you scroll out, you zoom out, and like this valley in the middle of nowhere, right? Yeah. And, that we're from the Valley. But yeah, I mean, Calexico, our population, how we're so entwined with Mexicali, makes us really different, from any other city in the Valley.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But and yeah, we got a lot of shit, that saying only in Calexico thing.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a Calesia thing. Yeah. No sabes.
And you know what? And I think we kind of we kind of like that saying only in Calexico because it could go either way,
Mm-hmm. Right.
Whether it's a bad thing or a good thing,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that I think it happened with us when I went out to Big Bear with the Calexico brewing crew, and we were out there getting asked like, "Where are you guys from? Where are you guys from?" And I'm like, "We're from Calexico, but it's not in Mexico." You got to get that clear, right? Before they go, "Oh, it's right by El Centro." So many people knew us because of apparently many people were out there from Glamis and Arizona, so they passed by. They know Calexico. Yeah, but it was kind of that's the typical question we all Galicianos get. Is it Mexico? No, it's not in Mexico.
Yeah. I think that's something that I do often where we have to explain like, the name has a lot to do with where we're from because we're in kind of like right in between.
When I broke it down to them, like it's think about California, take the first three letters, and then think about Mexico, but just take Mexico and put them together. It was just like mind blown. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. So you're having an event,
Yes, sir.
Coming up September 11, right?
See.
So
September 10th, we changed everything up. We had a last meeting. What's it called? A few issues here and there, but nothing's going to stop us. We've been trying to put this event together for the past 2-3 months, man. It's just been one thing after another. We've lost some venues out there due to some stuff that they went through. But currently, I was actually going to do it here in Calexico Brewing, but it didn't really have to do with the brewing whatsoever. It was actually the city. So the city is just becoming really hard for us to kind of gain some permits. And I think I just decided to kind of put a stop onto it because it was too much, man. For a little event, I thought it was going to be like something simple, but it started becoming an issue. So we took it back to Mexicali, and now we're going to have it in Cerveceria Malgro.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So tell us why you're having this event and who's going to be there and all this good stuff.
Yeah, man. The event is basically celebrating the 10 years of Roots Creative. 10 years ago, obviously, this is when I came up with the idea for this. And it's something that I've always been wanting to do, like on an annual basis, like partner up with all the bands that I've worked with. But obviously things happen within life, and that's how I ended up back in the Valley. But now it's more difficult for me to kind of get out there and to San Diego now that the whole pandemic thing hit, and it's all the bands kind of went their different ways, or most of them are like just doing whatever they can right now to just have shows. Survive, and back then it was different. Like it was just like, hey, like to Step Us, do you want to guys pair up with me and kind of play for a show or kind of do something? And they were like, yeah, man, I'm down. And there was a band from Hawaii. So things like that used to happen, but now that it's a little bit more difficult. So I kind of wanted to do like the event here in Calexico with the original members of the Break From Society band. Break From Society is a reggae band that started, maybe it's from your years, no?
Probably, yeah. I remember Toquines were playing there,
Yeah, so Break From Society started back then, and Mark, one of the vocalists, kind of started getting back into music and whatnot. And basically he's kind of getting back together with the band. So George has been here in Calexico, and Shams is always up in San Diego, obviously, but it's a little bit more difficult to get Chamo down here because of his other band, obviously. pero now, ya se hizo, like last time they actually performed here. I didn't expect for all of them to show up. I had an acoustic set, like it was just going to be Mark. I thought it was just going to be Mark on his own. But Chamo showed up and George showed up, and they had a full-on set on here. So it became from an acoustics to a pre-show of whatever is going to happen, obviously, hopefully. But yeah, man, it's just basically like I wanted it to be like that way, an annual show, but it eventually didn't form into that. But now I've always said, like, at least for my 5 years, I had everything planned for my 5 years, but that's when I came back to the Valley. So everything got shut down out there. And now that I'm doing the 10 years, I'm like, we got to do something special. It's like a quinceañera, we got to do a quinceañera for Roots Creative. So I reached out to Mark. It was kind of a spontaneous thing that happened because he started hitting me up to kind of, he's kind of getting into other different projects. So kind of for me to go back on the drums and play with him. So it just started forming from there. And I'm like, hey, man, well, if you want to get back, like, bring your band and let's do Break from Society. And then Los Gastelum, it's a longtime homies of me since high school, junior high maybe. And they're all kind of like really good at what they do, man. Like the vocalist is a great vocalist, and he actually went to school for that SDSU. I think he graduated already to become I'm not sure. Maybe I'm giving the wrong facts, right? But like, I think he's going to eventually become a music teacher or whatnot.
Oh, okay.
So he knows his shit. And then you have Argel, who just also graduated from, I think it's an audio technician or audio engineer for sure. And so he knows how to record the band and play with the levels and all that kind of stuff. But he's a drummer that's his thing.
Yeah.
So that's him. And then Bruce, who has other different projects in Mexicali. He's also a longtime homie. And he plays the bass. So it's all them kind of getting together and kind of like what Miluno lights happening, that you got the brother, the sister, and everyone's good at what they do. Yeah, see. So they all got together and they became Los Gasters, and now they're the other band that's going to perform.
Are they fairly new? Because
yeah, pretty much.
I saw them, somebody's Instagram, they came up, and I started following them like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And
did they play at, no, I think somebody went to Mexicali and saw them.
Well, that was probably me.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because they played at Malgro Cerveceria, where I'm hosting the event, my 10-year event. And they were out there last Saturday.
Okay, so, yeah, it's probably...
Yeah, it was a Saturday, just 7 days ago, actually. But yeah, man, they're well-rehearsed. They never looked at each other when they had to have changes or anything. Like, that's when you know that's a sick-ass band, And then... DJ Shams, obviously, he loves DJing, man. So he's going to be on the ones and twos on the turntables and kind of spin some cumbia, some oldies.
Shamu no hace de todo ese güey.
Shamu es como, ¿cómo se dice? It's a saying that the old ladies say, man.
Milusos, no. Milusos.
No, algo que estuche, no. ¿Cómo se dice? I forget, but...
Yeah, but for the people that don't know, Chamo is, he's from Calexico. I started to talk to Chamo when he was probably 15, 16. Because my friend Jake, he was friends with Chamo. I actually interviewed him. I have an episode with Chamo.
I listened to that one.
So I know him from way back, but he was a skater, and then he started playing music de repente con Break from Society.
He was my bandmate back when... At some point, Rising Roots didn't have a bass player or a keyboard, and he jumped in as well. So,
and now he's playing with Tribal Seeds.
Tribal Seeds, yeah.
He's a bassist with Tribal Seeds, and he's been doing that for a while, now.
Taking off, man.
Yeah. So that's Chamo. Though, for people who don't know who we're talking about, when we're talking about Chamo, there's an episode with Chamo. So if you guys want to check it out and learn a little bit about him and our history, but. So it's going to be DJ Chams and then Break from Society as well.
Yeah, we're going to have... So Chams plays also with Break from Society, which is You're just gonna jump from back and forth, I guess, man, and also
He's gonna
do
be playing the bass in.
right. Yeah, de todo lo hace el vato. Pero no, like we have good set times. Again, Los Gastos were actually at that brewery last weekend, so I kind of like the vibes. You know, it's a good spot, and I think we can definitely avoid all the permit stuff and all those things, man. That's basically was kind of like really hectic on stuff on top of me, and it was just too much, and I'm like, yeah, let's just move it over to south of the border.
Yeah, it's much. A lot of things are much easier over there. Yeah.
All you got to worry about there is getting the bands out there. Hopefully, Shamu, George, Yegan.
No shit.
That's pretty much it, man. Yeah. I mean, they were all on board. They didn't mind crossing the border or whatever. My grandma's pad is just like 5 minutes away, so we can house things in there in the meantime before the show or whatever. So I think it'll be a good turnout, and then I'm gonna have some of my merch out there and sell some of the those shirts, dude, with the Imperial Valley rooted have been kind of popping up, and people are liking those.
Yeah,
things.
I've seen these around. Like people are posting, pictures of themselves with these shirts, and I see people like walking around, the valley with these shirts. So that's pretty dope.
For sure.
So where can people, find more information about your company, your event? Where can they?
Rootscreative.co, man. Many people think it's a .com, but it's not a .com. It's a .co. Rootscreative.co, and then on Instagram I'm as Cultivating Ideas. So you guys can follow me. I post a lot of stuff on Instagram for the most part. I don't really use Facebook.
Yeah.
Again, I know my demographics and my people and who's on what and whatnot. So I don't really use Facebook for that purpose. But yeah, man, Cultivating Ideas or rootscreative.co.
Cool. So, anything else that you would like that I didn't talk about, any closing thoughts?
No, man, I just want to thank you again. I think you're doing a great thing. I remember when I was, I barely reached out to you and I told you about this is kind of like a follow up to Galicia.com,
Yeah.
I don't know for those people who might not know Galicia.com, pero that was a great forum that kind of got started. And you even said so. It was too ahead of his time.
Yeah.
It was too ahead of his time. People didn't even know how to manage or maneuver through the website or whatever.
I think Galicia.com was like the first version of Reddit kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it was fun. I liked it.
Loved it, man.
I like to go in there midnight and I would be up there 2 in the morning reading all the fucking dumb shit.
Yeah, responding to all these people who you didn't even. Well, it came to the point where, if you knew the nickname, you knew who he was or what he was up to. But
I picked a nickname that unless you were my best friend. You knew or you could have had an idea it was me.
Yeah.
Because it was something that I never talked about or whatever. But if you hung out with me, you knew I liked that subject or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Calesa.com was pretty dope. And
well, yeah, man. Like I said, I think this is pretty much a follow up to that, and I think this is a great thing that you're doing, and I'm happy that you had me here.
No, well, thank you for being here. Thank you for, like I said, you're one of my sponsors. Thank you for sponsoring my podcast. With all the help of my sponsors, I've been able to buy all these things and become a really cool mobile podcast.
That's what's up.
The other day I went to LA to go meet this writer for the LA Times, and I
saw him, dude. I was in Oaxaca when I was reading all that stuff,
and I took my shit. I was like, man, maybe he'll want to do the podcast on the spot, because he's been saying we're gonna do it, but when he saw me, he's like, I'm busy, I can't do it, but you know what, that's fucking commitment. You drove all the way down here to come meet me
for sure.
But he's like, you know what, I'm gonna try and find a story in the valley, so maybe we can do it over there. I'm like, nice. All right, cool. But yeah, once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for the things you're doing at the county.
For sure, man.
And thank you for Miluno
Lights and Miluno Haunts. And again, you can find us also there at Instagram.com. It's I believe it's the number before. No, it's just the wording. So it's Miluno, Miluno Haunts. And then we have Miluno lights. Yeah.
So, yeah, and I'll put all the links on the show description so
Thanks,
people can reach out. So yeah, thank you once again. Thank you guys for listening or watching. Thank you again, Calexico Broy, for allowing me to record today's episode here. Make sure you guys stay cool. It's kind of going. It's in the 90s, I think, today. Yeah. It's not even 100. So,
right. It's been chill.
Yeah. So we're getting cool weather. Sacan las amargos. So yeah, thank you guys again. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.